Always a pleasure on Wednesday mornings to bring in Dr. Bradley Meyer, the Okoboji Wellness Clinic. Good morning, Dr. Meyer.
Hey, good morning, Dave. Good morning, everybody out there listening on this cold winter day.
Yes, and it's only going to get colder today. The temperature is going to continue to drop. All right.
Yeah, well,
it's that time of year where people generally sometimes get sick.
yeah, we're spending time indoors to stay away from that cold right now, and we're sharing those germs. The rest of the year, I'm always talking about how huge it is on the terrain theory that's out there. That's boosting your whole body's immune system and all these biologic systems. We want to make that as strong as possible so that when we're exposed to stuff that might stress our body some, that we're strong enough to deal with it. Now, the two big theories that have come out over the years in the medical discourse has been the germ theory and then the terrain theory. The germ theory is basically that we're swimming in germs and toxins, which we are, but instead of building up our bodies to help fight those things, oftentimes we're reaching for the things like the antibiotics that, of course, we sometimes do need to turn to. But that's the germ theory. So our goal here at the Wellness Clinic is always just to continue to boost your immune system, your biologic systems, reduce your inflammation, and improve that terrain. We want that terrain as strong as possible. We want you dealing with toxins, getting them out of your body, your liver working to detox, drinking plenty of water, all the things. But sometimes we still will succumb to that germ, that bacteria, that virus, whatever it may be. And it is so fun to have options, especially for the folks that have been like, oh, Doc, I just have been struggling for 3 to 4 weeks now. I just can't get over the hump. I went off to see my primary doc down the road, got on an antibiotic, and I'm 3 to 4 weeks down the road. That cough is still there. I'm still wheezing. I've got no energy, body aches. That nose is still running. So, yeah, there are things. So then a lot of times what happens is that you end up on round 2 and then round 3 of antibiotic. You get the stronger one. Of course, there's always a cost involved in that, so it may knock out some of those bad bugs, but guess what? It's knocking out some of the good bugs, too, that sit in that digestive tract. So it is nice to have options, Dave. It is really nice to have options for folks that feel like they're like, I don't want to reach for that antibiotic right away out of the chute if I don't have to, or if they've already had one and they're not seeming to turn the corner, what are some of the other things we can do? And again, most recently, we've been working a lot with IV vitamin C, getting that going. That is pretty incredible stuff to boost the immune system and help the body in the whole healing pathway. So doing that, a combination, sometimes we'll have folks come in and do a 3 to 5 spot series of IV Ozone, which, again, it's supercharged oxygen that we give through the IV into your blood. We take the blood out, put the ozone in, and just seamlessly over an hour, supercharge the body with that oxygen and follow it with some IV vitamin C. And typically, if we do that every other day or daily for 3 to 5 days, wow, do we see some phenomenal results for those stubborn cases. So not only does it boost the immune system, but these treatments actually are more of like a natural antibiotic in the sense that they have antimicrobial effects. So it is just a real quick turn. We'll a lot of times see when folks will do that. Now, when I send folks home, I'm always like, okay, what are some of the other things we can do at home to have in our toolkit. During COVID 4 to 5 years ago, we always talked about the Dr. Meyer's toolkit and how big, having a adequate dose of vitamin D was, and especially this time of year when it's cold out, having some vitamin C in that toolkit. Well, I've got some really awesome stuff that I found that really works well for us. We've got nitric oxide releasing lozenges that I think are a go-to when not only just for general health, but a lot of times I'll have folks on them specifically when they are fighting a bug. And so that's one of my top go-tos. Another one of my top go-tos, and this was during COVID, we have the Pro Immune powder, and it's an antioxidant. It's glutathione. That stuff is even great to pull out other garbage that gets stuck in the body, like glyphosate and heavy metals. But it's also fantastic immune booster when we're getting sick. So good for prevention, good for those acute symptoms. And then most recently, Dave, again, I was maybe talking to you from the airport a few weeks back about the vitamin C conference I was at, just total mic drop. And we've got, it's called Pure C. It's absolutely phenomenal. And this vitamin C, it's a powder, and it's specifically sodium ascorbate, more bioavailable, buffered, non-GMO, super, super awesome for just basic day-to-day antioxidant inflammation support. I sip on it daily for 10 to 12 hours a day. Been seeing awesome results for it with folks that have stiffness and stuff like that in their joints. But when it comes to an acute situation, say somebody picked up a urinary tract infection or they got the bronchitis or something going on in the lungs or the sinuses, then you can increase the dose of that specific vitamin C, and it is absolutely phenomenal. If you do a PubMed search on vitamin C, you'll absolutely be floored at all the different applications that it's beneficial for, from hormones to thyroid to adrenal support, let alone antimicrobial. So when we're coming down with that bug, think about upping the dose of that C. So, yeah, it's what I've interestingly seen, Dave, is that over the years I always felt like when somebody had a cold, a virus, oh man, they were just destined to probably anywhere from 10 to 21 days of just not feeling my best. And this time of year, we want to feel our best. We always want to feel our best. But during the holiday season, you don't want to be sick. It's kind of like going on a vacation. You don't want to be sick when you're on vacation. And so when we're doing this, when we're working with these things, typically, like I said, in years past, it was like, now, since COVID, I prescribed ivermectin during COVID, and a lot of times I'll apply that also to these viral illnesses, these acute cold-like symptoms, and holy cow, the combination of these things, a lot of times I'm seeing folks get better within 48 to 72 hours, which typically, as I was saying, I used to be 10 to 21 days. That's about standard for most folks when they get sick. So totally cool. I'm not always about the short game, when it comes to quick fixes. I like that long game, working on the whole body healing, but so we don't get sick as often. But if we do, boy, it's nice to have some tools that are really, really safe, really holistic options for folks, and that can really, as we say, turn the worm a lot faster for folks.
Right. And the one thing we talked about antibiotics, certainly there are going to be times where you're going to probably need an antibiotic, but you want to be able to turn to that antibiotic and have it work. You don't want to be on antibiotics so much that you become antibiotic resistant.
Precisely. Yep. So that's it is there as that option that is. We're grateful to have it, but we only want to pull from that option because we know we've tried some other things, and in most cases, folks have tried those other things, or again, they're like, no, I prefer to try some of this more holistic approach first, and we're there for you in both avenues.
And we have talked about this a lot, but we might need a refresher course for whatever reason. This week I've been reading a lot on gut health. You talk about it a lot, but that again seems to be tied to a lot of this illness.
You're absolutely right. So much of that microbiome, a big part of our immune system is down there in that digestive tract past the stomach. And we want to work to always be repopulating that gut with good bacteria, because so much of what we eat is destroying that good bacteria. You know, a lot of times it's in the foods and so on and so forth. The type of food, you know, even the microplastics that we're exposed to, the heavy metals, all those things can take a toll on that microbiome, and we get to the point where it gets quite upset, and then it's time to work on that journey to bring it back into balance, which again, it's lifestyle, and then it may be some certain supplements that we need to bring it back into balance. But absolutely, and I think we could have Molly Avery, have her come back. I want to get her back on to really have a together discussion again about that microbiome, because there's so much out there right now on it, and she is an expert on it, and I'd love her to share some of that expertise in the coming weeks here.
All right, so if somebody's struggling out there, just can't let go of that illness, what's the best way to get a hold of you, Dr. Meyer?
Give us a jingle, a holly jolly jingle at 712-339-6024. We're at 3305 Berquist Avenue in Spirit Lake, Iowa, off Highway 71. And, we do the discovery calls, which are fun. It's a good way to just do a complimentary 15-minute visit if you're wanting to start that thrive, not just survive journey in your life and get going with that. So we just kind of talk a little bit on that discovery call about briefly what that path forward might look like. But yeah, absolutely excited to see new folks in here all the time and spread the good news about that there is more out there to get feeling better. Yeah,
it's such a big deal. You know, live the day, thrive the day. Don't just survive the day. It's a big deal. All right, Dr. Bradley Meyer, as always, thank you so much, and we'll check in with you again next Wednesday.
Sounds great, Dave. Take care, everybody. Be well.
Thank you, Doctor. Dr. Bradley Meyer from the Okoboji Wellness Clinic. You can find out more at okobojiwellnessclinic.com. Thrive, not just survive.